Good morning, welcome to the next podcast of Collier-talks cricket memorabilia. Last few weeks people have been asking me to go into a little bit more detail of the book that I produced a couple of years ago called Across the Oceans, which is here, which I did just over 100 of those and they all sold. But Mike down at Boundary Book does have a couple, but unfortunately he seems to have mislaid some. That was the book there, so it's 530 pages there. So and then I've done another 15 of these hardback editions, which is in their own little sleeve, which went very well. They all sold quite nicely, so I was really pleased with the outcome of selling all the books. Obviously don't do it really for making money, I just did it for love of it really, and the enthusiasm for all the ships that I've been collecting over the years. That was one idea of getting the collection in the book and showing people what's out there. So I was quite pleased with the way that went really. The inspiration really after he sort of produced this book was William Melville, the president of the Philatelic Society, unfortunately no longer with us. But that was my inspiration really, because he brought that out and there was only 25 ships on there. I thought fair enough. I thought, well, there's got to be a lot more than that, and I actually found 120 ships that they used, going to and from Australia and New Zealand. He only done to Australia here, but the idea of my book was to chart each tour, which ended up as 32 tours, MCC or non-MCC, private tours, anything that touched down in Australia, I put in the book. So that was the plan. So off I went, and a couple of years later a book was produced here. I was to start in 1861 with H.H. Stevenson's tour, but I managed to also get a forward done from David Frith, which was quite a bonus. He seemed to like the idea and whatever, so I've done a nice forward for me, which he was not many people left. It's been through the Panama Canal and the Suez Canal, so he had a little bit of experience on there. So that was that. So the first one, 1861-62, and the ship that took them over was the SS Great Britain, which is a nice one there. It's just going past Cape Town. That's the only time it went into Cape Town for some repairs. And there's a nice bust of H.H. Stevenson there. So the idea was to try and get some images in a book that haven't really been used before, but obviously I had to use some, but I did fairly well I think, with some rare images. This one here was a rare image from a newspaper in Melbourne against the Victoria 11, All England 11. Also a stamp in the bottom there that Stephen Saunders gave me, or sent me an image of. Some other rare photographs here when they went over to Tasmania. There's a Tasmanian match there being played in Hobart just after New Year. It's got Happy New Year on one of those signs up there. A couple of other nice lithographs there. Fortunately enough, I managed to get these in Melbourne Cricket Ground. Lords have got a copy, Oval, and also Sydney, so I was quite pleased with people wanting to buy the book. Just still going on the 61-62 tour there. There's William Henry, who is a big man in Tasmanian cricket, and a rare scorecard there from the Tasmanian match. Going on there, I went down to the SS Great Britain and took a few photographs. So there's a photograph of the bathroom and the dining room, bedroom and the deck. So quite a nice insight into what the players were travelling on. The other idea was to put a few anecdotes into each tour from the players, what they did, what they didn't do. There's a nice menu there from this is Great Britain on the first tour. Bit of a difference there from the first class menu. In the third class, which was called cabin and steerage class, and all they got was preserved meats and plum pudding, so they didn't eat very well on the ship. Next one is a nice one. It's 1863-4 tour, again going over on the SS Great Britain with George Parr. Nice photograph there of George Parr. and also done a few player profiles there of some of the players. And there's SS Great Britain going out of Liverpool. Some nice photographs there. There's some nice lithographs there of Melbourne Cricket Ground. And another ship there, the SS Alhambra, 1855. And the other idea of the book was to put a little bit of history onto the ships, as they obviously led a fair life over their careers, with being in troop ships or whatever they might have been, hospital ships and what have you. There's a nice rare picture here of the Otago 22 that played the England 11, which is quite a rare photograph, that one. Very surprised to see that come up, I have to say. And then there's SS Omeo there, which was built in 1858. That took them over to, brought them back from New Zealand to Australia, and they went over on the paddle steamer City of Dunedin there. So there's a nice little write up there of the City of Dunedin. Not sure how far we're going to get today with this one, but I've only sort of 12 minutes in the maximum. But a nice name of a ship there, the Wonga Wonga, which unfortunately they had an accident going out of Sydney Heads on that one, and she had to limp back to shore, and had to take another ship over. It's SS Bombay there, which is a nice photograph of Bombay, showing her in some pretty hostile conditions there. And the main cricket ground in Sydney, which it is now, which takes in the Opera House and Botanical Gardens, Sydney Bridge there. So that's where they played all the early games, or some of the early games. Then we come to a nice photograph there of C. Gregory in about 1912. This photograph, but there's William Caffeine in the middle there, pioneering tourist for the England team, Surrey player, lived in Reigate, and Sam Apted, who was the groundsman at Surrey. They were friendly all their lives, those two. Next one was 1873 there, with W.G. Grace going over first as captain, and they went over. He went over with his wife for a holiday and honeymoon. Went over on the Merseypoor, which was built in 1871. That's quite a nice picture there of the Merseypoor. They stopped. They used a couple of ships going over there. The SS Nubia as well. Finally took them into Australia. Some rare little pictures there. There's one of Melbourne Town Hall there. Tried to do a little bit of a history of the Melbourne there. Then went into other memorabilia, showing some W.G. Grace plates there, which was quite a nice collection there. So there's a Khedive there, and the tour averages. That was another thing on the book to get the averages in. Just did a little bit of a, especially later on in the test matches, did a little write up on the test matches. And then James Lillywhite's 11's tour, Australia New Zealand, showing there on their first game at Chichester Priory. There's the team there. So I did manage to get also an image of every team that went over there. There's the sailing ship SS Poonar there, which is quite a famous ship. And here we have a famous tightrope walker, Blondin, who's actually buried in London. Here in where's he buried? Kensal Green Cemetery. He was quite a star in his day, that's for sure. They shared the ship with quite a few people. There's a nice one of my favourites there is the Tangier 1865 at Venice. It's quite a nice one there. And the Maitland, which had a bit of a mishap and sunk. And there's a memorial at Maitland Bay there with a bell and what have you from the ship. Claude Hamilton, and also got the City of Adelaide, various ships there. And the ship that took over to New Zealand, the Turura there, and then we've got some players there. There's a little player profile of Frederick Spothoff, the Demon Bowler, and also Edwin Evans. So trying to get some rare photographs in there. Then we come to the first test match, 1876-77. The scorecard in there and some of the players there. Gregory was the captain. midwinter up there. Alfred Shaw bowled the first ball, and Bannerman who received the first ball and got the first Test century, retiring hurt at 165. So we now get to Lord Harris's team, and went to Australia in 1878-79. A photograph there, and quite a nice photograph, that one. Again, I tried to put what they earned and all that sort of stuff, and where they went on their luxury or holidays and a few days off. This is Australia. That took me a whole weekend just to verify that they went over on this Australia. Then, of course, some of these players, they went past some sites like pelicans and flamingos that they'd never seen before, so it was quite a thing for them to do that. SS Assam there. The other thing I did was actually get some prints of or some images of some of the things they used on the ship, like beer tankards and things like that. But they also went over with Rudyard Kipling, so there's Rudyard Kipling, the Jungle Book Man. There's the first Baloo, I think that is, yeah, Baloo from the 1895 edition. And also Henry John Chitty Harper, the first Anglican Bishop of Christchurch, was on the ship as well, going over. Another lovely photograph there. I'll put some hotels in there as well that they stayed at. And this one here is Sir William Gervais, Governor of South Australia, with a fantastic beard there. So a few things there of interest to look out for. Some more players there who have got their Princess Alice, who had died. The team found out that she died and they reached Australia, which didn't go down particularly well. There's the Orient Hotel, Collins Street, Melbourne. And who have we got there? Sir George Brown, the Governor of Victoria. So I'll put a little bit of history of that there, so we're getting through to that. The SS Southern Cross there, which is had a quite good history. And so we've got Town Hall in Launceston. So I've gone to New Zealand there. And there's there's Ned Kelly there. The team played a few days after Ned Kelly had gone through the town and stolen all the money out the bank. So that's, you wouldn't expect that in a cricket book, but it's the Globe Hotel, Albury there, where they stayed. So we've got to now. We've got some lovely facades of some of the old hotels there. This one is the Royal Hotel at Bathhurst, where they stayed. We come in here. This is Nepean Towers. This one, Thomas Mitchell, builder of Nepean Towers, also built. I think it was one of the cathedrals in Melbourne, I think, or Adelaide perhaps. And then going on where Dame Melly Melba there, she stayed in one of the places that the players stayed at, which was Sit Down, I think it's called. Which was built in 1838. So a little bit of Dame Nellie Melba there, so a bit of history. There's a lovely paddle steamer there, the PS Albion, and one of the hotels there, and when it had been flooded. I think this is this one. This is Wagga Wagga Station here, train station, which is quite a nice photograph. So I'm going to have to finish on this one because we're running out of time. Just a little photograph there of the PS Herald, which was one of the first steamers, paddle steamers in Sydney. So we'll stop there because I'm running out of time. So we've got to, where have we got to? Probably 1880 something. There's quite a lot of ships involved in this one. So 1881-2 we're going to get up to next week. So that's Shaw and Shrewsbury's tour. So we'll stop there because I've run out of time. So I hope you've enjoyed that and it's not bored you too much. So I'll see you on the next one.